Hi Scorpio, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, welcome to this place if you're new here. Welcome back if you're returning. So, Scorpio, it's your birthday time. I feel like it's really, I sense it's very important. Hold on. My nails are gross. They're not gross. This needs attention, you know, like it's like hangnail and something needs to be like cleaned up and loved. Maybe some of you need to get your nails done or like take care of these little parts, right? So, okay. I feel like somebody wants to say some things. And the things that they want to say could be true to some extent. But I heard there's no need, if this is you, there's no need for you to create more karma if this isn't nice for some reason. Like say you know somebody's a dick, somebody's like not nice, somebody whatever. It doesn't really matter. Remember, ever since that eclipse, the beginning of the year, interesting. I don't know if there was one. The beginning of October, right? October, it was like that first week, right? The end of the first week. Anybody that wasn't meant to be on the boat, gone, right? And good. Now we're free to be all that we can be. So if you feel like you have a sharp tongue in this time, I would keep it, if you keep it to yourself. Use energy creatively, not destructively. Now, this wolf energy seems to be powerful for everyone this time frame. So what's important is who's in your wolf pack, right? Well, it's not your wolf pack. Let's take that back. Hold on. Ow. Who's in the circle? You know, who do you trust? That's what the wolf pack is. What do you trust, right? Who do you trust? So, let's see. Okay, where have you been? Well, this has been pretty strong, but something since July, maybe. These two horses here. So I guess in the past, someone moved on from something, right? Maybe things parted ways, went different ways. And I heard this is also a splitting of feeling. So maybe there's some sort of, I heard emotional disassociation that was needed to figure out, for someone to figure out like what was theirs or not. Because the only thing that we are allowed to own and control is ourselves, right? And that's why boundaries are so important for everyone, but especially well, I keep seeing these like four points. It helps keep the animal, with you particularly, Scorpio energy, it helps keep the wild animal in check. Do you know what I mean? So you don't hurt yourself and you can find some peace in this world. Now, whatever has happened in the past, now you is actually, this is the Prince of Cups. This card is very zen, right? It's very introspective. So some of you are meant to find your happiness within yourself, regardless of the emotional connections you have with other people. There is a wealth of I heard knowledge, within that, and power within your own happiness. Okay? Let's see what your challenge is to that. That's always wise. We have the Four of Discs. So maybe it's trying to be strong all the time might be part of the issue. We have to admit weakness to be humbled, right? We have to admit weakness to trust in spirit, to receive support from others too, because that's honest. When we admit weakness, then we are honest people. People that don't think they have any problems at all are usually really, really broken. And they're certainly not willing to change, right? I just saw someone in AA. A person has to admit, like, I am an alcoholic, tower. That it isn't always, well, I guess it's accountability. It's emotional accountability. Okay, good. So the challenge is stability. So, okay, look. You are Mars, so you're fast, and you are water. So your emotional state is always shifting, right? It's always changing. It's like you can almost be, like, internally, I feel like the most chameleon because you're shapeshifter, right? But chameleon is where it purposely is like, I want to embody this and experience this fully, so I'm going to be this. Maybe that's, I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be accepting, I'm going to be patient. However the be is. A shapeshifter, it takes longer to harness it, because it can just shift depending on your feeling, right? For instance, when Scorpio, right? Say high vibe in Scorpio, any high vibe in person can easily turn into a striking snake if they want to, right? It's control, right? And again, that self-control is the task. Remember, that's the biggest security, emotional security, and it doesn't come from other people. It doesn't come from your family. It doesn't come from your job. Not ultimately. The place it starts is within. And I do see admitting weakness is the issue. But that makes sense for being ruled by Mars, right? It's a masculine energy. Usually a warrior or a soldier is not going to admit that something is hard, because then they may not be able to do the hard thing that they need to do when they get to that point. And I feel like the hard thing that needs to be done for some, or you could think about when you have done this, is again, I see admitting weakness. Oh. You're back. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. All right, let's actually move ahead. All right, I think we've discussed enough about that. Let's actually see what's going on here. Okay. All right. Well, this is very Scorpionic. Happy birthday, Scorpio. So we have the Swan, which is judgment, and the Eight of Swords, which in this deck says isolation. So mentally, you are meant to process, in this time there's a process that has to do with realizing where to move forward and what can and cannot be done. And that for whatever reason, you seem to be Scorpio energy seems to be in a transitionary state. the way to get out of this is to actually be where you are and feel strong in that. Wherever it is that you are, that you do not feel strong for some reason, it's practicing your vulnerability, okay? Isolation will not help any of you. If you are in a tough, if you are trying to find your zen, I mean, you got to like who you are. You know what I mean? You got to enjoy your own company. Pileated woodpecker. You have to enjoy your own company. But isolation is different than being alone. Do you know what I mean? And I think some of you are figuring that one out, right? We need each other, and we need to, and you know, maybe what one of the things is whatever you're working through, because even if it's in very, like, say it's like in small in ways of like a small success, it would be like telling God what's on your heart. Not just like what you're grateful for. That's helpful, right? Being like, oh my God, I'm so grateful to, I feel so grateful to be here. To be able to have this bed, to have this home, to have these friends, to have this job. Like, all the gratitude is really beautiful. And I see Spirit really appreciates that, right? Imagine a child that doesn't thank their parents. You know what I mean? Come on now. That's bratty. So, point is that another part of Spirit that's really helpful, that's different than our parents, that's different than family, that's different than friends, is that God doesn't judge us. And the saying what we can't handle, or what's hard, or when we're frustrated, you're allowed, that's allowed. But it's how we react to it outside of us, outside of our world, is where it gets tricky, and it's important to use wisdom there, right? Because this time is not for proving anything to anyone else at all. That would be contrary to the path in this moment. Let's see actually emotionally what's happening here. Okay, we have the King of Wands, and the Eight of Cups. So maybe some of you are working through, I mean, we could relate this to somebody else. I guess in part, some of you are releasing emotionally from other people. But this has already happened. Interesting form of words there. Perspective. So if we take this leadership, this King of, this King of Wands is you, because you are also fire. This shows me that you are strong enough to actually work through whatever you're working through. It shows me maturity here. Eight of Cups to me can be very much emotional maturity if we want to use it that way. Because the reason why we end up with the Eight of Cups when we have integrity is when, for instance, there's been those situations where it's like, well, a person realizes something was missing, but doesn't lay that on somebody else. Do you know what I mean? Like, if there's an emotional, like, hole, it's not like it's because of someone else didn't fill it. It's like, okay, no, I heard I need to put this in order for myself, right? It's very like Libra energy, where it's kind of like, let me put myself in someone else's shoes. But it's more of getting to know like what size you are. Like, interesting, again, form of words. So these cards are entitled Leadership and Retreat. So maybe that could be something that's helpful for some of you. You know, where do you take charge and control, again, in your own life, where you, I don't know, like, you're the one that's like, hey, I'm going to get all these friends together and we're going to have a dinner party. Or like, hey, I'm going to be a part of this, and I'm going to be the student within it. You know, it's because I don't think, well, let's keep going. What's your next step, Scorpio? Oh, justice. Okay, so we have Libra energy. So justice is about karma, right? The balancing of karma. Whenever justice arrives, what we're talking about is we are meant to be ready for what to receive the result of what we have done. Right, we got to own it when justice shows up. So any good that you have done, any place you've kept your zen, and you, I heard bit your tongue, like put your tail down, things like that. Again, admitted your weakness, like acknowledged both you and other people's feelings. I feel like things come to a center point. Oh, interesting. We need one more card. So that's what you... Oh. Whatever you have been learning about is what you will be learning about. And I think that's why trying to jump to a new stage too fast with something, it's about being present in this time. Because Capricorn talked about this. Let's see what this card is. Oh, beginnings. Yeah, so it's been a shedding stage. You are shedding. You're creating new skin. Do you know what I mean? So for some of you, this could be a little sensitive. But I also heard someone say, here I am. Some of you have to look yourself in the mirror nude and like love your body more. Here's the King of Cups. I heard you cannot control the world's deception or the deception of others, or even but you can control who you are and how you respond and who you choose to have in your life. And what you choose to share with them is like all these components are what create the equation. And you actually can protect yourself a lot better by using the intelligence that way. Do you know what I mean? Interesting. So I guess what you have been learning about and what you will be learning about, maybe until the new year, you might be a little sensitive, or like there's something really new there again. In that sense, I feel like well, what are you afraid of? Because you're kind of looking at that. The Prince of Swords. Oh, some of you are like, somebody here, I heard somebody here talk shit. Like they didn't tell the truth. It wouldn't be worth it right now to pay attention too much to other people. That does not mean isolation. I need to clarify that. It means pay attention to yourself. Scorpio, it's your birthday. Pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to where you're at, right? We talked about this on the full moon eclipse, right? Is that all the things that we've been through this year even, right? Again, do we have to go over it again? Like there's been huge shifts with people's families and with their friendships and with our relationships and where we live and how we feel. And there's been literal deaths, right? And there's been like huge shifts, and And that's awesome because this is a Chariot year, right? This was a year of figuring out the difference between desire and reason, right? The reason we desire things, how we go about achieving them, when we can let go of control, all this kind of stuff. And trying to get things to move in the right way, or like right action and right prayer, right? But I guess because we said right, there must be something about something coming full circle. It's like going back kind of to the point of where something was before. And I guess in that sense, I heard take that as a fresh new start. Because whatever this justice is, it has determination behind it. So again, if you know you've been doing good, you have some pretty powerful protection around you. Somebody has some really powerful, like, it all depends on the choices that were made, the words that were chosen, the actions that were chosen. Now, this doesn't mean that, for instance, you're meant to satisfy everybody else. It's about where you use self-control and where you learn to let go of control in relation to other people. Wherever that is, there's some. It's actually really positive. This also has a lot to do with one's own, again, like happiness in who they are. I do feel like someone feels a bit separated from something, like maybe they feel like someone sort of feels out of the equation. It could be you particularly, but in that sense, now we have the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Wands. It's like Queen of Swords is about independence, right? And again, she is honest and really powerful. It's almost like I'm seeing this like bigger karmic lesson for Scorpio energy. Cancer had this too, but like we've talked about this before. Your anger is the thing that stops you. Your anger is always the thing that blocks you. We can't make anyone else feel anything. We can't make someone love us. We can't make someone respect us. I mean, things can be built, but that's through time and through action, right? And I do feel like it's not, I don't think that it's necessary for you here to wallow in what was. Because this is a new, again, it's a new cycle, right? We want movement forward. There can be reflection or introspection into the past, but I feel like that is a very personal, private thing between you and spirit, or like you and your prayer, you and your body. And because you know what, it's almost like I heard if you admit, because someone found their power here. Do you know what I mean? They finally learned to like speak their truth. And they found their pack. Like they found what fit with them. You know, there's a lid for every pot. You know, chill people like chill. You know, chaotic people like chaos. Like, so the point is that if you, whenever it comes up, just admit defeat to spirit. Do not try to be resilient there. That's the wrong, I heard that's the wrong kind of strong devil. Yeah, it's like, no, I'm bigger. It's like trying to, because maybe someone in this equation, I don't know. I don't want to get into the drama of who is not in this circle right now. Do you know what I mean? We could talk about that. Low vibing people that are all this stuff. We could talk about that. But again, what were we talking about before? We can't control that. So anyway, perspective and movement. Yes, let's shift the perspective. So somebody is afraid of karma. Or I don't know. Like, is that the right sentence? No. What is it? Someone here is not affected. This is the next step. Someone is not affected by what other people say. Doesn't matter. It doesn't, I see again, it doesn't affect them. It doesn't, like they know how to respond. They know that it's just part of the plan. That's kind of the next step too, is acceptance. And, you know, maybe you want to look to who you're inspired. Like, what inspires you. And I do feel like you're meant to rest your energy a little bit. Even though it's sun energy right now for you, which there's going to be light going through that Scorpio house, but, like, because you're shedding. Again, this naked person is what you've been doing and what someone's been doing and what they will be doing. And so if for some reason some of you are focusing on somebody else, it's like, that is not the point. Go back to this card. I mean, you can still, again, there's still other people in your life. There's still connections and all this, but, like, the gist of this here, of this lesson, it is, I guess, to find, like, your own innocence in something. And maybe recognize the innocence of others. Like, you know, I heard not every person that has hurt us did it on purpose. And actually, from my perspective, from what I've learned through being Platonic, is every person that's ever hurt me deeply has healed me greatly. They helped me feel something I was hiding, or they helped me to acknowledge where I was bullshitting myself, or where I was lying to myself, you know what I mean? Or, like, where I hated myself, whatever. Where I needed to fucking improve, you know? And even though I feel like I've always tried, as far as I can remember, to, like, be a decent person, I've always cared about other people, especially people who are suffering. Because I could, I guess, relate to the suffering. But at this point in my life, I'm not having relationships that are based off of suffering. It's based off of the healing of suffering. Do you know what I mean? And we're at new stages, again, new stages with things. And so wherever you are, I want you as much as possible to accept it, and please do not isolate. Unless you're going to be quiet and isolate purposely to not be around anyone else, or to, like, have any kind of interference, and create some prayer space, because somebody could also be mad at God or something, or feel like, again, like they're a burden they're a burden, so they're like, well, I'm not going to share that. But it's like, that's a lie. Like, God knows what's on our heart, even if we don't say it. And if whatever you're trying to create, I really feel like, you know, Taurus energy talked about this vision in the future, and if whatever you're trying to manifest, you know, the next, actually, Capricorn had the Magician, which is the card after this, and what they'll be learning next, so that could very well be helpful. Maybe that will help you to work on some of this stability energy. And actually, the more that you're centered emotionally, and figuring out whatever we've been talking about, your money actually is a lot better. Your relationships with family are a lot tighter. Like, it gets closer. It's just there may have been, or need to be, some kind of space between. You know, like Maybe there's a bit of a detachment in ways of, again, emotionality. You know, because things can overlap with your energy. Don't forget about that. You're very sensitive, and you don't understand. I don't feel like Scorpio always understands, like, how do I explain it? It's like, sometimes things can be so obvious in front of Scorpio, and I've seen some Scorpios where I'm like, how do you not see that? But it's almost because there's too much information coming from all these different places, plus whatever is going on inside, that, like, if a person doesn't check what's going on all the bits inside, they can get really confused about thinking that it is something else. I mean, and it's all healing, but you're rearranging, again, yes, you're rearranging things so that, again, and I needed to know, some of you, you just get the card of unburdened, like, union. Okay, so relationships are not, love is not pain. We've talked about this. Control. Control. Okay. We just received the card of, oh, I thought it said completion, but then I looked down and it said competition. So maybe there's a bit of releasing that kind of fighting energy, also releasing the need, again, to prove something, or to, like, someone, whoever's doing that, it's like, that's not the point. No, fulfillment. It's emotional fulfillment here. It's happiness. Where a person is, regardless if there's no one around them. Not even a tree. Some of you need to go camping by yourself. Yes. Or, like, there's something about that. Like a soul, because this is a solo process. Again, no one could do this for you. I mean, you could probably, like, have a reading or have some kind of assistance to help shift your assemblage point. But for no one can do this for, again, a person. A person has to do this for themselves. And I feel like with that introspection card, those of you here, well done. And, you know, maybe we just had to talk about it like we did, to go over, like, look at these two moon energies. To recognize that you are in control of your feelings, and that emotional energy is what actually creates our life. Do you know what I mean? But these changes don't come from pushing. Somebody's looking to the moon. There could be projections here too with somebody. What's that about? Oh, projections and illusions happen when you isolate. You have to be careful, Scorpio. I also feel like this is a Scorpio talking to somebody else too. But this is for you. But I just saw that, like, where somebody who had passed over is, like, trying to say something to somebody. Maybe this is somebody that you cared about, like a family member. There could be a female that's passed over, like, or some aunt or your mother or somebody. It's just like, I heard, don't do what I do. Like, we could keep going. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. Cool. You're not, I heard, someone is not a burden. And whatever was a burden, I feel like is getting lighter. Someone is completing something energetically. So be conscious of that. And if you're wondering about your Zen, you could go to Sag. If you're wondering about the next step, go to Capricorn. Because, and please acknowledge and accept whatever changes are happening, and try to be as, well, I heard someone say, I want to feel ready for this. I heard I do feel ready. And it's like both sides. This is like Pisces energy. Then it moves into like Cancerian, Capricorn energy, where it's just like, okay, things are aligned. Because this is also building emotional security again. And then as you move forward, it's recognizing the changes of how that shifts even in a day. Even, it can be like... So if you get stuck anywhere for some reason, yes, destitution. If you get stuck for whatever reason in any kind of low spot, give it 2 days. You'll feel better. And again, I see someone like looking. You want to go to Taurus for looking at, there you are, for your future. Okay, because you can look at it, you can plan about it. And then you have to emotionally prepare for it. And that judgment could potentially be some kind of counsel that could be helpful too, now that I'm thinking about it. Because you know what, that's also really vulnerable too. I heard again, telling someone what's going on with you. And please don't forget to nurture your body. Okay? Yeah, the Empress and this Queen of Discs, which is like a pregnant person. This is like, either way, it's treat your body as if you were having a child. Do you know what I mean? Like, treat yourself that way. As if you had it. For some of you, maybe you need to pretend like there's a child around you, or someone's thinking like that. If for some reason you get into that isolate energy. Otherwise, I think that it would be, again, taking, I heard space to see. Not what has to do with others. Ultimately. Because I see decisions are not meant to go backwards right now. It's a forward energy. Interesting. Alright. I will talk to you later, Scorpio. I hope you have the best birthday. I hope this reading was of service. This reminds me, too, of, like, a couple years ago. Okay. There's a lot of vibrancy and energy coming once this emotional world is shifted through. And I heard for some of you, you don't have that much to do in ways of shifting into this new, because it's a new, when you shift the feeling, I think that's what shifts your brain. I almost feel like it's hard for Scorpio to shift their brain because Aquarius squares you. It's like once you start telling yourself a story again, it can get really stuck. It's like super hard. So how you shift the story is feeling different about it. Then all of a sudden that shifts the body into clearing the mind of some kind of blockage, which gives a different perspective, right? And it releases the fear. So I heard, again, no matter where you are, remember to acknowledge your small successes, whether far or near. Okay? All right. Yeah, this Queen of Swords, she's always on point. All right. Love you so much. Happy birthday. Peace out.